Okay, we are live. I will give people like another 30 seconds to hop on and then we can start. I think. Yeah, we're live. Okay. I think that's enough time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live for Two Fellow Native American Family Services. This is our youth engagement series with our topic of sports this week. I am your host, Chris Shaw, and this is going to be a fun little talk today because we have a panel of local Native coaches who are going to talk about their role and the importance of coaching in Native communities. And I'm excited for this panel. This is going to be really, really fun. I have my two co-hosts with me today. One being Amada Lang. So Amada, how are you today?
Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing good. Just enjoying the sunshine and getting out there with family, and really excited for this panel as well.
Happy to have you here. And I know you're also a soccer coach, so I think you want to introduce that as well.
I'm going on with this like the youth engagement series up there. I'm forgetting all about that whole intro. But yeah, I'm also a soccer coach for Fortuna High School's women's varsity soccer team. Last year, we were the first team for Fortuna High to get the NCS title, which was really cool. This year, we planned on doing a little bit of workouts and such in the summer, but we only got to get a couple of those in before the whole COVID situation and switching the sports to the spring, which we'll probably get into that a little bit too. But yeah, it's been a good time coaching, I think, and getting back into that realm, not really being able to play. That's the next best thing. So.
Yeah, definitely happy to have you here. And my other co-host is one you saw last week, Mr. Keoki Burbank. So Keoki, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Excited to be on here. Glad to get to talk with some really great coaches. I coach football at McKinleyville High School, and so just to have like Coach Tripp here, who's actually won championships at my school, and then Glenn Moore, who's been able to have a powerhouse softball team up in the valley, and then having somebody who's at the next level and at the college level coaching. So I'm excited to learn from you as coaches, as well as just to hear your story. So thank you for having me on with you, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we're definitely happy to have you on with us as well. I know you have some valuable insights as a coach and as a mentor to everybody watching. So with our panel today, we have three wonderful coaches, like Keoki was saying, two at the high school level, one at the college level, and they are all very, very good coaches. At least I hope they are. We think they are. So I'm going to have them each introduce themselves going by which is like name to the left of me. So I'll start with Reed Elmore. How are you doing today, Reed?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just surviving. Kind of weird being at home and being out on the net.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, it's weird for everybody. Don't worry. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what coaching you do?
Okay, my name is Reed Elmore. I coach at College in Redwoods. I actually used to coach at McKinleyville before this, and I helped with James back in the day at Arcata High. I'm from Arcata High. I ran track and cross country, played a little soccer, and now I coach cross country and track at the community college.
Thank you. Very nice, and happy to have you here with us. The second one I have right next to you is Glenn Moore. So Glenn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today. Thank you for inviting me to sit on this panel. It's an honor. I am a Hoopa Valley tribal member, also of Yurok descent. Grew up in Hoopa, currently reside in Hoopa, and plan on, this is my home. And recently we've been the high school Hooper Valley High School softball coach for the varsity level for probably within the last 10 years. And so it's like I said again, it's an honor to be among you guys and be able to listen and hopefully gain a little more experience today too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to have you here with us, and I hope to learn a lot from you just because you're going to be at the same high school I hope to be coaching at. So thank you for that. And last but certainly not least is the always eccentric Mr. Sonny Tripp. So Sonny, how are you doing today? I think you're muted, Sonny.
There I go. We're doing real good. Been loving life this summer.
Very nice. Why don't you tell us a little something about yourself now too?
Well, my name's Coach Tripp. I'm a Kaduk Indian. I come from the villages of Kadimine, Amikiatam, and Asamnam Kaduk. I been lucky enough to be raised in a family, to be around ceremony, and be able to participate in it. And I've been lucky enough to have good men in my life, some my uncles and my father, and I'm honored to be here too. And Coach Moore, you know, he gave me some words of advice a couple seasons ago when I was going through a hard time in my life, and I think about those words he said to me, and I'm honored to be here and look forward to today.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on with us, Coach. And I'm happy to have all three of you guys on, and this is going to be a very, very exciting panel. So I guess I can start off with the first question for all of you guys, and even Kyoki and Amada, this question for you guys as well. Just how did you guys get into coaching, and how did you guys get your start? Amada, I can start with you, and then you can go on to the next person.
For me, I think I'll correct it. I accidentally said it wrong too. We got it's not the NCS title because that's a little bit bigger. We actually got league champs for the first time. They already got NCS title the year before. But for me, I think it was just my coach. Actually, she was really influential for me. Coach Lynch, if you're watching, she watches sometimes, and she was kind of a mentor for me. Some of the struggles that I went through, she kind of understood that when it came to getting for practices and she even lived in Eureka, so she even let me carpool with her sometimes, and she was just a really good mentor for me. It led to me going back and wanting to volunteer, and then she actually just suggested we come on as assistant coaches, which was really nice. And there was two other youth that were a few years younger than me, and they also came on as assistant coaches because we're all a little bit older now, which is crazy. But yeah, it's just kind of more to give back to the community and give back to the youth, because I think going back to your alma mater is really important, and being able to give back for the teachers and the people that were there to support you. And I'll go ahead and go with Kyoki next.
What got me into coaching, I'd say just my dad always coached football for me. Like growing up, he was always one of my football coaches, but I just loved being around the game. I remember my brother and I would always, when we were in the AAA, the big guys, we'd go down and help the little guys out. And when we were in high school, we'd go back to the little guys practice, help coach with Lonix Landry for the Eureka Jacks when we were in high school. So I remember it was just something I just loved the game. I always wanted to be around it. And even when I got to college, I was always looking, how can I just continue to be around the game? And, you know, once you can't do anymore, you start to teach. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I just love to be around and try to give back to the game that gave so much to me. Coach Reed, Coach Reed, you're right next to me. So pass to you.
Okay. How to get into coaching? I was doing kind of more social work type stuff, and went to go watch the national championships, the world championship qualifier in Sacramento. And social work can be kind of a burnout game, but I'm sitting there in the stands, and there's all different people, all different walks of life, and they're all getting along. It's about 100 degrees, and some people were squirting each other with squirt guns, and they squirted the wrong person on accident. And instead of that person getting mad, they said, "No, please squirt me more." And it was just such a nice atmosphere. And I just said, hey, well, I mean, where do I want to live my life? I want to live my life in a real positive place, and just coaching and being around track and field and sports in general can be a real positive place to be and to work with kids too. And so I decided to kind of go into coaching, and like I said, started in McKinleyville, and then the job at College of Redwoods opened up. So I came down to College of Redwoods, and was tasked with starting a team that hadn't been there for 9 years, and the rest has kind of been history.
Thank you. I'll go now to Glenn.
Okay, so I probably started my first coaching career with my oldest daughter. We were the Slippery Eels for T-ball, and I kind of taught her how to love the game, I guess, more or less. And she took it to the next level and started softball. And then she returned the favor by really, she did a lot of traveling, a lot of different teams, had some really good coaches through her career. And she really excelled and really made the game fun for me to be a part of it, to watch her play. Had an opportunity later down the road when she came up here to live with me in the Valley, to be able to coach. But I also helped my late father-in-law be his assistant coach for some of the girls, and he kind of really taught me the importance of being a role model, a person that's a positive role model, and a person that's to be there for the young people in this community. And so I worked with him for many years, just kind of helping him out, being an assistant, and he had his way of coaching, and he was always telling me that, you're going to take this over. I'm not going to do this forever, because we was always relied on Grandpa Merv as the softball coach, for all of our girls, and he basically was. And then, but he kept telling me, you're going to take this over, you're going to do this. I'm like, no, you're doing fine. And then I ended up stepping up and helping out, and then going into the high school level, and taking over the program and rebuilding the program. I really wanted to work on building a solid program, and with a lot of community members in our community that are former softball players, we've built and they've built a lot of a really strong program in softball. And it's kind of unfortunate that the way it panned out. Last year, we ended up being the North Coast section champions, and for the prior year before that, we were undefeated HDN champions, and then we repeated again the following season with one loss, and ended up repeating that, and then going on the road to win the section title in Division 5. And that was a young squad. We were senior ridden. They were due to repeat this last year. They would have went back-to-back section champs. No question asked. They were a very strong senior class, and so it was really hard to watch my girls not be able to return that favor, and hopefully we would have been home for the section title, but unfortunately it didn't work out. So now we're in a situation where we don't know what the future lies for sports. I see the big colleges are canceling a lot of their programs. That's scary. And so I've been working with some of the football players in the gym at the Warrior Institute. A couple of them are heading out to college right now. One left is in college now, just started yesterday. And we've been opening the gym up in 5 a.m. for them to get their workouts in. They're all ready to play football, but the uncertainty is unknown. So I kind of been reading what Ray's been putting on the Humboldt Sports, and I'm hoping that we can figure out a solution to get our players to play, because sports, especially in our community, is huge for and my wife, she was an assistant for a lot of times, and she always kind of talked about having a positive place for these kids, every day for a couple hours. I mean, that was, for some of these girls, we were it. And so, like, they're not out, doing drugs, getting pregnant. They're, on the softball field working out, and I'm dedicated. And so in our community, sports is huge for an out for our kids. And so it's really hard to see our kids, locked down, and a lot of them are still training in hopes that they'll get somewhat of a season. And I know, Chris, if you're going to come up our way, this is one of the things we're going to be dealing with. Let's try to figure out, like, what's our best solution to get our kids on the court or get her on the field safely. But right now, we're in a pandemic in the Valley. COVID's in the Valley, and we worked really hard on keeping it out. But it's out. It's here. Now we're trying to figure out, how we're going to deal with it and manage it, and still be able to pull off a school year and, hopefully some sports programs. But like I said, the future is uncertain. I think for all HDN, it can change just like that. So I guess my main concern is I'm hoping that whatever decision that the HDN or the CIF makes is a decision that's going to keep our young people safe.
Yeah, thank you for that. I definitely hope to work with you in the future on what to do for our kids in Hoopa, and I'm hoping to get them, because I know how important sports are. Sonny, I think we almost forgot about you. Sonny, why don't you tell us about your story?
Right on. Well, for me, what got me into coaching was the love of the game. Like in sixth or seventh grade, I knew that I wanted to be a coach. I didn't know if it was football or basketball or track, because I did all three. It turned out to be basketball, and I've been doing it for 30 years. Started when I was 20 with the junior high team, and then when I was 21, I got my first high school team, freshman team, frost off. I think what I love about it is the competition. I love competition. I love, there's so much that I love about coaching, and you get so much back from the kids. It's not just, it's an experience that, financially it's not very rewarding, but the experience, money can't buy. And I love these kids that I work with, and they give so much back. And I definitely have to say it's the love of the game that has kept me around for such a long time.
Thank you. That was a great answer. And that kind of leads me on to my next question for all you guys. Is just, how important is your role in the communities you guys are in, just as a coach and as a mentor to these kids? And how are you guys taking that role, and how are you guys able to kind of give that role out to other people in the community? Amado, I'll start with you again.
Sorry, so like you're asking how I'm able to kind of give back to the community with my role? Okay, perfect. I think overall it kind of leads into kind of what Sonny was talking about, and the kind of passion and love for the game. And not necessarily when you're like great at something, but when you're smart, and you don't even have to necessarily be good on the field. You can be smart in technical reading, know the sport, and can coach that way versus that too. So I think for me, I enjoyed being goalie the little time that I was, and then I also was a defender. And so I know I could come back and help with my coach who was coaching then. And so I think that's also important, but showing the youth that are playing now that you can come back and be a mentor to the youth too. I'm also still in the area, so that's the main reason why, and I'm a rec major, so it connected to my degree. And so it was kind of just something to do with my free time as well, but still be able to give back to my community and everyone. So yeah, that's kind of how it was for me.
Nice. Kiyoki, how about you?
I feel like my role in like the community is just like creating a like one thing I want to do here at Mac is have it like be a program from single A 8-year-old up to 18 years old. Like we're one program, we're all the Panthers, you know, that connects our community. That's something I want to do. But like for my role is like giving back to the community, importance in there is just like creating that space. And then, you know, I was blessed to go on to the next level with it. And I just want to try to create that opportunity to allow whatever one of our student athletes want to go to the next level to hopefully help them get there if they want to. Coach Tripp, I'll pass to you.
Cool. I think the role of a coach is important. When I saw that question, it was like, how important is the role? And I wondered, well, shit, so many coaches get fired and hired, and it must be an important role when they're you know, there's so much turnovers and stuff, and there's a lot of pressure on coaches to succeed, to turn programs around, to compete. Us at McKinleyville High, we're the smallest school in the Big Five, so we have a major uphill battle to compete with these larger schools. And historically, we've found ourselves in a pretty good position doing that. For me, I help our kids achieve things that are bigger than just the individuals. You know, we try to build team and community and family. And like Coach Burbank said, I've been lucky enough to tap down into our little guys, our younger guys, and work with our junior high. We have some of our coaches on staff that are also at the junior high staff. So we're starting to build early into our feeder school programs, and I'm loving it at McKinleyville. But for my role, I think just to try to walk in a good way and be an example, not just as a coach, but just as a normal person, you know. And I think for Native youth, as the coach, you can't really give special treatment or anything, but I sure appreciate them working hard, and sometimes it's harder for Native kids because my expectations of them are to be higher and higher sometimes. So anyway, I love my role, and I try to do the best I can for our kids. And the one thing I try to build in the communities where our kids can come back and tap back into our program, give back, and then to also be there for them anytime they need us. You know, no matter how old they are or what position they are. You know, moving on in life. You know, we got men there that will be in their lives probably for the rest of our youth's lives as well. So anyway, I'll pass it on to who? Coach Reed?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. So in terms of in terms of the community, I focus a lot on the community. I'm at almost every high school race. I'm usually the starter, and just go out there, and I want to have kids to have a good experience. But I think, and I try to bring this back to have an argument that's more not so much about morals and feel good, but it's also about the best practice that as a community, if we have more kids participating in something positive, that's good for our community. So I'm out there. We did coaching clinics at CR. We did one at Hoopa. We do it all over. Just trying to get coaches to learn how to coach, just the basics. We want to get kids out there. Part of it, again, back to the best practice is like, if you go to Arizona, you go to the state championships, and all the teams are from the reservations. I mean, they're killing it out there. Hopi won like 28 state championships in a row. Out here, natives aren't running quite as much, but I see the potential, and not just in terms of championships, but also if you're a kid living downriver, if you're a kid living in Orleans, and you might not be able to get enough kids to play basketball, but you can go for a run. And Humboldt County has some of the greatest places to run. Kind of in this experience of trying to get more Native kids running too, talking to a lot of the local elders, they tell me stories that are just incredible about running from Hoopaw to Blue Lake and back, running all over the place. So for me, in terms of running in the community, I also take part in ancestral runs. We run from Mount Shasta to Mount Lassen, and the guy Radley Davis over there who puts that on says that our ancestors once ran the whole thing all by themselves. Now we come together as a community and help each other out to recapture some of that. So I think community and running it goes hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. It's kind of weird that it's an individual sport, but at the same time, without the support of community, you can't have an effective team. But it also gives back to the community. You get better because of the community, but also it gives to the community in terms of kids that normally don't have anything else can always run. There's no politics, there's no anything in it. Running is kind of pure. And so for me, that's how I kind of try to work with the community, is try to get more kids a chance to run, not just affluent kids that have good coaching, but we try to spread it out and try to get an opportunity for all kids, regardless of where you're from in this county, an opportunity to participate in some kind of running sport.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And then Glenn, you finally, how important is your role?
I think it's really important to be a role model and to be invested in the community. Being from this community, we have an advantage up here, being that we live here and have been born and raised here, and we watch these kids grow up. And but providing a program or providing services to them to something positive. Our kids up here have a lot of negative in their life. And so we kind of prided ourselves on bringing a very positive program to the school, making sure that they knew the rules, they knew our expectations. And I'm kind of with Mr. Tripp about my expectations for softball at the varsity level was always to win a section title. And that's, I'm sorry to say, but like when you're at the varsity level and the college level, it's, you have a job to do and your job is to win. And it all, and so you have to do what you have to do to achieve that goal. And the hardest thing, I guess, is getting these kids to believe themselves, getting these kids to realize like how good they really are. Like I was telling these girls in the beginning of the season last year when we made our run, was like, you guys have the opportunity to win the section title. And they just looked at me like I was crazy. Like, like you're crazy, coach, but then, as we progressed and we stumbled a couple of times, we competed really good in the Big Five against those teams there. And we dominated in the Division 5 due to the fact that, we had these girls in a good program. We've had the opportunity to have coaches in the community that's been building the ASA program. So it was, this has been in the making for, a long time. I can't take credit for the success. There's a lot of people that are due credit to this. So I chat the docs, Matsuda and Tracy, and my wife was a huge part of this. And, it took a village to complete our goal. And but it was really kind of cool to go into postseason and watch them start believing like how good they really are and how good they can be, and to put it all together and be able to go on the road and take on the number 1 seed and beat them in their own house. That was a tough road. It's not easy as teenage girls that are, especially the seniors, you know, they're checked out. They want to go. But yet this is the last, softball is always the last program, and they've already been through, especially the schools up here, they've already been through 3 sports or 2 sports. And so this is their last sport. And like, you know, so how do you get them engaged? How do you keep them engaged and keep them hanging on? And then a couple of the girls went to the next level to college. And so it was kind of really cool to be able to go talk to some of the coaches at the next level and advocate for the girls. And then Maggie is always wanting to recruit girls from Hoopa. She's always after me about different girls, but, you know, and so it's kind of a good thing to be a role model. I know that I walk a very straight and narrow road, me and my wife. And so we just kind of pass it on to these girls. And we give them a safe place for a couple hours a day. And we ended up, you know, some of these kids are kind of like my own kids. You know, I treat them that way. And like, you know, Sonny Tripp says, you gotta, you know, you can't have favoritism or whatever, but man, you get these kids kind of latch onto you. And so it's huge to be a positive role model. In our community, we're pulling kids from, you know, 30 miles away. You know, it's really hard for our program to pull together and put together a team of 12 to 13 girls and ride the season out. We usually start out with big numbers, and we end up with just enough to finish the season. But as you're going to find out, Chris, that you know, we're a small community, but you know, you get these kids to believe in your program, get these kids to believe in what your goal is, get them to believe in themselves, and you'll have no problem. But you know, getting them to believe in themselves, number one, and then building a program to get them to believe in that program. And you have to be strict. I was a very strict coach. Like, you know, my daughter, she's watched me the last couple of years coach, and she's just like, man, you've been soft, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, I know. The athletes have kind of changed a little bit, but I still was really strict, really was a certain way about running the program. And I think that some of the girls needed that and appreciated that. You know, they didn't really appreciate it when I was coming down on them on the field, but now I think they kind of look back and think, you know, like, wow, he actually cared, you know, or Miss Moore actually cared, or you know, and we put together a really good staff that worked really well. So I was not for everyone. And it took me a long time because I was wanting to be the person that was the coach for every girl. And I wasn't. I was only for certain girls. Tracy had a couple of girls that she could reach. My wife had a couple of girls that she could reach. Doc was our doc. So he was always making sure that our kids were well and healthy, you know. And Ryan, she has her group. And so that was a really, really good coaching staff that was fun to coach and coach with, and realize that, you know, I have to like not be the person that's realizes that I'm not for everybody, but I'm there for some people. But overall, you know, it comes down to me being the person that takes responsibility for the losses, trying to be a positive role model. And you know, and now I'm kind of working with some of the younger boys with the football, and hopefully when Chris comes up, we'll be able to plug him in and get him hooked up with the Warrior Institute and get these kids working out and working hard. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to get all this stuff done, and everybody watching in Hoopa, make sure you guys be ready to come, because me and Glenn we're gonna work you guys. We're gonna be strict on you guys, so be ready. Amada, I know you have the next question for these guys, so have at it.
Alrighty, so I'll start with Kyoki next, but I just kind of wanted to dive into the little bit of the COVID situation, since we kind of talked about it a little bit. But how has it been kind of adjusting to the coaching life within the whole COVID situation?
Well, for me, it's been really difficult because, it seems like everything changes. Our schedule changes every few weeks. We get something like we're going, then no, we're not, we're shut down, oh, we're approved, we're playing in December, now we're playing in February. All the while where these like billion-dollar organizations, like NCAA, they're shutting their programs down. So, it's there's so much unknown there. It's really tough. I'll say, like, when we first stopped school last year in March, I was sending kids a daily workout, everything, like trying to connect with them on a daily, making sure. And then as I went on as just an adult trying to deal with this new Zoom life, I realized like how stressful that was for me. So I just started thinking, what if I was in their shoes? Like, one, I'm trying to go to school, to, picking up the computer and stuff, like all these things all so hard that I was like, I'm probably adding a lot more stress on their life. And so what I ended up doing was, here's the template for working out. You could go to this website and it's got a great workout, and it's got body weight workout if you don't have anything at home. It's got the full weight set if you have that at home, or if you just have like dumbbells, you could do that workout too. And so I kind of just set them there, and I try to check in every once in a while just to check on, see how they're doing. But as a coach this year, during the time of COVID, I didn't not want to add more to their pile onto their mental health stress, and for myself as a coach, I didn't want to do that to them. So I've kind of been a little bit more hands off in what I'm making them do, what I'm really pushing them to do, but I've been still there. And I hope for each one of my boys that they know they can call, text, email at any time if they need something, if they have questions about anything or how to work out or what to do to prepare themselves. And I'd say for my guys right now, it's about a 50-50 split. Some of them are just really dialed in, and for their mental health, they just got to be grinding on the field under the bar every day. And others, they just need to be like, hey, I need my space. I need to just get on my video games and nobody bother me. So I try to leave that up to them. Coach Moore, I'll pass that same question on to you.
Well, COVID is really frustrating right now. I'd have to give it a thumbs down as far as it's really hit our working out program. We had these kids bought in pre-March 13th. We was hitting the gym, and I have to kind of give a shout out to Joe Marshall and the Warrior Institute for having an opportunity in the Valley for a place that we can open up and have some weights and have some different trainers come in and work with these people, all people that want to. It's open for all the people that want to come down and train, and some athletes utilize it and some don't. That's just kind of the way it is. And so I kind of backed up. Maybe was a participant's senior year. It was after their football season. He wanted to get ready for college. And so I'm always about figuring out, like, because, open up a gym or whatever and get some kids involved, and maybe they're there for about 4 days and then they fall off. And so, and then I'm trying to like work around their schedule after school, whatever works for them. They want to go late in the evening. I got a family. So I pick 5 o'clock in the morning, and we get to the gym at 4:30. And if you really want to work out, then show up at 4:30. I'll have the gym open for an hour, until 6:30 before I go to work, and we'll get your workout in. And that young man was there every day. He would beat me, and he lived in Willow Creek. and he would beat me to the gym every single day, and he worked out hard. And so he would kind of get rally some of his troops, and some of them would hang and some wouldn't. So then we kind of did the same thing after this last football season. We got a group of boys that came in and they started hitting the gym hard. Some of them are wanting to play college, and some of them are, getting ready for hooper football. And then my nephew, he's coaching football. He reaches some of these guys. So we opened up the gym again, 5 a.m, and we had a group of probably about 12 to 15 athletes working out. Some of them, we had a softball player that was coming in too, and trying to keep ahead of them, working a program. March 13th comes along, and then we shut down, and then we're down. And so then some of the kids kept up with me and like, well, hey, what, can you write me up a program? And so I try to get them a program to them. We come July 1st, we open back up, and these kids are ready to go again, man. The same groups coming in. This time we have a little bit more restrictions, not more than 10 people, trying to find the COVID guidelines. And then bang, we shut down again. So it's really hard for these guys that are wanting to go to the next level and train the next level. But COVID's put a pretty good damper. And so I've been still kind of writing programs for some of the youth there and trying to get them to them. And they got their gyms at home, or I kind of want to probably get with Kyoki a little bit and get the body weight thing. And then, you have to accept the fact that kids love to play Fortnite, or they want to be on social media, and they don't want to have anything to do with the gym until it's actual season. By that time, it's kind of too late. So, trying to reach out to your athletes and get them, and then you're going to get some of them that are not going to want to work out. And then you're going to get some kids that are going to be like, when's the gym going to open up? When's the gym going to open up? When's the gym going to open up? Like, can we just go down there? What can we do? And like, well, here's a program, and we'll get through this, And I was really excited because I have an athlete that is hitting it. He hit it from time from last year until we got shut down. Then we opened back up. He was hitting it hard again, and then football got pushed back. So then we're like, yes, we get like 3 more months of training. You're gonna be a beast when you hit the football field. And then bang, here we are, slowed down again. So, but he's still wanting to get the program. So I write him up a program, and he said he's going to do it. His brother just went to college up in Oregon, and so now he's kind of on his own. So trying to figure out how to get these people engaged, but still have to deal with this. And I don't know what high school sports is going to look like. It can change, day by day, it changes. So I don't think we could have a solid plan. And then, like Kyoki said, December. So we were shooting for December. And then now I just found out now, he said February, and so I think it's kind of day by day.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to figure out how to beat them all in Fortnite so they'll stop playing or something. I don't know. Sonny, how about you? How have you been dealing with this COVID stuff for your work?
COVID-19 sucks, big ones. I just say that. We for us it's we're missing like 30 games right now. So normally we'd be playing in summer league and also going to team camps. And it allows our team to build chemistry early before we even go into open gym time, and it allows us, the coaching staff, to see who's committed and who's grinding. And yeah, it sucks. So we haven't been able to be on the court at all. They put like Coach Carter locks on our gym with big old chains, so we couldn't even, they didn't trust us. So yeah, and our kids are jonesing. Our kids are missing the court. They've, like I said, we'd be able to know who basically our group is going into this next season. And now for all our kids, for our freshmen coming in, our JV players and our varsity players. But now, we're just grateful that hopefully we get to play in December. That was what the league just passed, and hopefully that we're all going to be combined and they make the best out of a bad situation. But yeah, COVID is rock basketball all around. I know some programs are getting to play a little bit. I know Fortuna started to get in the gym and do some things before they got shut down. Coach was just talking about the Beast AAU program, going outdoors and playing. We told our kids if they want to play to go up to Redwood Park and play around a little bit. Yeah, and for us, this time is crucial, and we don't get to do it. But when we get ready to play, we'll grind and be ready, just like everybody else, and do our best. And I think we're going to be good this year. So Panthers are coming back strong.
Oh, we got to watch out for you guys, huh?
Yeah.
I will. I know. I mean, I know that for basketball, this is a very important time. It's hard not having those, not having that time to work out and get better. But getting through it is really, really important. Reed, I'll go to you last. Hopefully, you got a good answer for this too.
Yeah, COVID. We had a great recruiting class coming in. We work well with football, and football's been suspended. And we had some world-class guys coming in. We were super excited. We had some good guys coming back. So it's really been devastating, but I've been trying to turn it around and make something positive out of the negative. Like someone said that, you have more time to train. So we've been trying to focus on that you have more time to adjust, but also we've been trying to shift our team culture into the accountability has to lie with the athlete. Like this is you have to survive this. Like it kind of emphasizes what I've always been trying to say is that the success of that athlete has to come from that athlete. And now it's truer than ever that I can't be there to hold you accountable all the time anymore. We're not going to have the practice to hold you accountable, but these are the things that you need to do to get better. So I've been trying, I don't know if it's working, but I've been trying to change this from a negative to a positive and use it to teach lessons. And what they say doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Hopefully this will make our team stronger if we can survive this and come out the other side of this. And these young men and young women will actually learn that if they want something, they have to go for it themselves, regardless of what obstacles life puts in front of us. And the last thing I'll say is that, yeah, it sucks, but if you look at what's going through, someone mentioned the elders and stuff like that and COVID. If I have to take a break, if I have to suspend the season because it saved a life, we got to put our priorities in place, and that's what's got to be done. That's what's got to be done. So it also teaches the kids priorities, that sports is important, but it's about the lessons that sports teaches. That's important, and it's teaching you a lesson of humility in the face of something that's global.
That was a great message, and I think it's very important to know that just because sports are very important, that means there are also other stuff in your life that are also important. Also, you gotta have your priorities right. On that note, I want to, before we start the second half of this talk, I want to go and look at some of our comments. I hope you guys are seeing the comments on here, because these are really, really, really nice. Heather Nelligan says, "My coaches helped save my life," and that's true for a lot of people. So I hope you guys are realizing you guys make a great impact. And I have an actual question from one of our viewers. Angela Decker comments, "Coaches, what are some of your most successful engagement strategies for youth who are reluctant to get involved?" Kyoki, I'll start with you on that one.
Coach Moore had a really great point of, that he's not for everyone. And same with me, my style is not for everyone. And so that's what I think I've done a better job at, is getting good coaches around me. Like my assistant staff is really good. And so if you can't get along with one of the guys on our staff, there's a lot, it's going to be really tough. So, maybe I'm not reaching that guy, and I'll reach out to the parents, and they're not vibing with my style, but so the next assistant coach will try. And then, so that's one way that I've done, used a lot to try to get my kids involved. And it's been a while. It's took me a while to build up the program to where I want it, and I felt like we were almost there. And COVID really crashed that, because we were killing it in the weight room. But before that, I thought, so what I would do is I'd use my seniors as they were going out to be like, Coach was right. We weren't strong enough. We weren't prepared. We thought we were ready, but I'm telling you, as younger football players, you still have time. You need to listen to coaching and be in that weight room. You need to be at practice all the time. So I think sometimes they don't realize that until their playing time is done. So I've used their peers, or their slightly older peers, and I've used my assistant coaches a lot to try to get kids involved, because I try my best to get everyone I can. I want every boy in Matt Kai playing football if we can, and that's not realistic, but we try. And I'll talk to them, and then so will my assistant coaches, and so we try. And I don't have the answer. I wish I had the complete answer for every kid, but hopefully I do it for enough. Coach Reed, pass that to you.
We, to get our kids motivated, strategies, what we try to do is, I just on another Zoom call yesterday, and they talked about college and the whole, like in the classroom, and kind of having the whole power of love. Sorry, our kid a moment. But we kind of boiled it down to more like, I have the idea of a unconditional positive regard, that the kids have to know you care about them, whether they win or lose. You can be mad at them, you can yell at them, but that doesn't mean that you don't really care about them. That at the end of the day, that you still got their back. It's not conditional on their success. So we try to have that message, and we try to have positive, like we talk to them in positive ways. One of my coaches brought up the fact that instead of saying, "Hey, don't do this," you say, "Why don't you do this or try this?" And it actually makes your mind work in different ways. So instead of saying, "Oh, I can't do that," you're still thinking of not shooting the free throw like that. But if you say, "Okay, try it like this," you're actually thinking of something more positive or a better way of doing it. So it changes the brain's way of addressing a problem. And positive doesn't have to. We have big discussions of this, and I have football coaches on my staff that positive doesn't have to be hippie kumbaya. It can be hardcore. Hey, good stuff. Way to pull it out. Hey, go rip that guy's head off. That can all be a positive statement, unless you're the other guy. But so all those things can be a positive ways of dealing with your kids and motivating them. We found that works, and we try to leave every practice with like a high five, some kind of positive message in it all. Because sometimes it does get down and dirty, and we're yelling at them and all sorts of stuff. But at the end of the day, you got, one of my coaches said, you gotta, for every dressing them down, you gotta build them up twice as much.
Yeah, that's a great message. Coach Moore, I'll go to you next for that question.
I would say consistency, staying consistent, being there for them, making sure that you're there every day, putting together a really good staff, or putting together a program that they believe in, and getting them to believe in, and kind of touching on what Reed says. Yeah, consistently mean sometimes to be tough on them, especially at a varsity level. I'm tough on my girls, and I expect a lot. at that level, I shouldn't have to, you know, put up a lot of nonsense. And so, you know, trying to get them to be disciplined and have them work hard, you know, breaking them down, you know, making them tough, mentally tough, you know, make your, you know, I had an assistant coach that, you know, he pushed them, our practices harder than game times. And, you know, and I kind of appreciated that sometimes, because when they actually got to a game, into a dogfight, they were already just like, man, this is like, you know, practice is tougher than what we're doing right now. And so getting them to, you know, to work out and getting them to push themselves, you know, and right there, you know, I'm all the time like pushing and making sure that they're tough. And so that when they get into situations that they're like, okay, you know, I can do this, you know, I've had girls cry, you know, and I wasn't probably the most sympathetic guy, you know. I'm kind of like, you know, I had a girl that was crying on the field, you know, and I'm like telling the dogs, get her off the field, roll her off. I don't care. We're still practicing. And she wanted to stop the whole practice and focus on her. And I'm like, just roll her off the field and get the next person in. And then, you know, and everybody's looking at me like, you know, and I'm like, we still have practice, you know, and then go check on her, you know, probably wasn't the best, whatever, but made her tough, because later on, she's like, she came up kind of big in the end of the season. She was a lot more tough. But I guess I would say, you know, being consistent is huge. And, you know, being there for your program and, you know, putting together your staff, but you're the person that invested. I mean, like, man, you know, I left at dark and I would get home at dark, you know, during softball season. And I don't sleep during softball season, but I put a lot of time in the program. You know, I made sure that everything was done the next day for them to be ready to go for practice. And so just, you know, getting them to believe in themselves, but also that you're there for them, and having them understand that, you know, you're there for them, and you believe in them. And that's kind of some of what our kids here in the Valley need, is somebody that's going to be there for them. They know that at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be pulling up at the back gate, and I'm expecting them to be ready to go. And they're going to be hearing me, you know, on them. Thank you.
Yeah, that consistency is very, very important. I know I'm hoping to learn from you, Coach, more about that consistency, because I want to be doing that with my kids as well. So thank you for that. Sonny, I'll go to you next. What is your answer to that question?
It's been such an honor to listen to all these wise coaches speak, and it's been a lot of fun. I just want to echo some of the things that they said. That consistency is huge. I've seen a lot of programs go through coaches every other year, you know, and then so the kids, and every time that happens, it starts to build. They start to build, change the program around. So all these kids have to change directions every time, you know. And for me, I've been lucky. I surrounded myself with great, amazing staff. It took a little while to build, but we've been together. We have the longest staff in the HDN that's been together, both at the freshman level and the JV level. And what Coach Burbank was saying too is like, yeah, I had to build our staff to where we got different characters and different roles for the different coaches. And there, you know, some are, you know, I'm a little, even though I feel like I'm pretty approachable, you know, some players are a little intimidated maybe. And so they like to, you know, visit with my assistant coaches or talk to the JV head coach or whatever that may be, to pass on a message if they need to. But by the end of it, you know, the thing is that we're all family. You know, that's the atmosphere that we try to build, and they know that I got their back as well as they have my back a lot of times too. So you know, it's just building a positive atmosphere where those kids are like Coach Moore says too, that it's consistent. Every day you're there, every day you're ready to go, even when they're not or when they're having a hard day or a bad day. You know, um, to be connected to them enough to where you can acknowledge that or recognize that they're having some struggles. You know, and maybe that might not be the day that you crack down on them. Maybe that's the day that you let them, you know, speak to you for something or anything like that. Um, I say to get people involved, it's we start early. We start in sixth, seventh grade. Start monitoring which kids are playing, who loves the game, who's what positions they might play, you know. And then by eighth grade, who's coming to our program, we already know the majority of our kids who are feeding into the program. And usually we're already like we run camps. We started doing holiday hoop camps when I first took over the program, and we tapped into all our third, fourth graders, fifth graders, sixth graders, and then in open gym we also started to allow our sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, our community come. So we ended up having 2 full gyms of little guys going, and then our older guys as well in the big gym. So, you know, I think tapping into them early and somebody mentioned about the positives. You know, I went from coaching head coach at a JV on my way to a varsity job, and then went down to kindergarten basketball and started working my way back up. Then in that at that time, you can't do the X's and O's so much, but it was all about the love of the game and just getting those kids to want to be at practice, not to have to come, to want to come to practice. And that's what we try to do in our program is, you know, we don't want kids missing games. You know, it's like a good curriculum, like a good lesson plan. You know, it's engaging the kids, and you want their kids want to be there, even if it's hard work, you know, and we try to work our kids harder than anybody in the HDN. So that's our expectations. Um, and like I said, the family atmosphere is what really comes, you know, they can, and the kids can rely on each other as well. So it's been great for me.
Yeah, that family aspect is always great in no matter what sport you're playing. That family aspect is always really, really important. Amada, we didn't forget about you. You're next to answer that question.
Thank you, Chris. For me, I think just knowing, I think all what you guys have said, consistency is huge, but I think just letting them know that you're there, as well as making sure every player feels the same way. A lot of coaches I've noticed going in from varsity, different levels, some of them pick their favorites, pick the athletes that they know are successful, or pick the ones, and they kind of spend their time on them. And I think that was something huge that I even noticed going through my kind of thing, that would be my sports career, I guess you can say. And I think as a coach, I wanted to come in and make sure that every youth feels the same. They're all important because they are. You're all training together. You're all trying to have one commonality, one common goal. But one thing that made me realize that this year was one of the youth had to step up. That was I also like to get involved too. I think training with the youth, and I think being in the game, being out there, playing goalie, trying to like be involved with the kids, that's a huge step. That's also had kids get involved. I kind of helped train a second goalie that she was kind of not the starter, but I believe she has the full potential. She's height, everything, just she's younger coming in. And our actual goalie broke her finger, who was our starter goalie. And this was to go into for the championship game to win league. And she had to step up. And that was kind of a time when my coach was like, hey, you need to go talk with her, figure this out, kind of get her motivated and pumped. And that was kind of a time where I realized like every youth really does need to feel important, because there are times when like at a spur of the moment, all the coaches were like, oh my gosh, this youth, like just started goalie, broke her finger. This is for league, like all of this stuff. And so I think that's just the big thing, is making them feel that everybody is, even this 5-string, when you say like, oh, there's the bench, it's like, even when you go and train, everybody there is training. Those 5 players wouldn't keep playing, get subs, get anything without those players. And I liked how Kyoki talked about in the last meeting, how the offensive, I don't remember, I'm not a football, like you said, one of the guys he always does the work, but he never gets the name on the like news screen or in the newspaper. And I think that's really important too, teaching youth that when you make that 3-point shot or that assist that you get, or even just any kind of commonality when it comes to all playing and you guys all get those moments, call it out, like, hey, that was a nice pass, like that was like good job, like and reciprocate it back, so those youth also feel well, and call it out as a coach. I've learned to do that too. So I think that's the big one for me. And I'll go ahead and kick it over to Kyoki. I think he had a question too. Ask everyone.
So this next one is a 2-parter for you 5 Native coaches in our area. The first part of this question is like, what specific struggles, if any, or hurdles has there come with being a Native American person as both is either an athlete or a coach? And then what advice would you have for Native athletes that are listening or watching our show right now today, as an athlete, not necessarily as a coach for them? I'll start with you, Coach Moore.
So can you say the first question again real quick?
Just if there's been any struggles or hurdles that you've had to overcome as being a Native coach, or even going far back as when you were an athlete, when you were coming up.
You know, there's always struggles, conflicts. I guess that's a really good question. Struggling, I guess, would be, you know, I guess my biggest struggle is am I doing a good job? Am I actually, you know, do I get these kids going in the right direction? Am I not? I guess I struggle with that a lot. I guess with my own self, maybe my own confidence, but I guess getting myself to believe, I believe in myself more, and having a really good support system at home helps a lot. Sometimes we get scoffed at for being a perfect example. 2 years ago, we were in the postseason HDN tournament, and we're playing, I don't know, I forget if we're playing, it was either Eureka or McKinleyville. And I had a group of girls that they were chill. They were just like, you know, there was a struggle to get them to pre-warm up. It was a struggle to get them to get out there and get their things on. And this other team shows up, man, and they're out there doing their drills. You know, they're running through everything, got everything going through. You look over and all of our girls are laying in the grass. You know, the whole group of them were just laying there, and like all those team was looking at us, you know, but every one of them was a gamer. And so it was funny because that's kind of how they rolled. And then, but they, you know, like the coach and like, you know, all the people from out of town are looking at us like, man, you know, do they even belong here? And then, man, as soon as we threw that first pitch, or as soon as we got on the dirt or whatever, it was instantly game on, and they turned into ball players. And we've actually like shocked a lot of people to where they're like, oh my God, did that just happen? And we had a phenomenal catcher that year. You know, she was a stud. And we made plays that, you know, like, you know, professional college plays that, you know, and they didn't think twice about doing it. It was just natural to them. And, you know, people were just like, oh my gosh, look at these girls are like, we just seen them laying in the grass, drinking their Dutch brothers, and just kind of kicking back. And then, so we, you know, we get we get kind of the bad rap, I guess, as being from Hoopa, and so that's always a struggle. But I always work really hard on my girls being respectful first. In order for them to respect people, they have to respect themselves, and so teaching them self-respect. And you can't respect anybody if you don't respect yourself. And so we were constantly like, manners, and I led by example. Ma'am and sir is how I roll. Very professional, very polite. And my girls ran if they argued with the umps, or they would, or if they argue with the coach, whatever, they paid the price on Monday. I made sure of that. We were never going to be disrespectful to anybody on the softball field. We let our game do the talking and not our mouths. And if they were mouthy, then they paid the price for that. I think that was really important as a coach to do that, because we struggle as it is, living in Hoopa and we have enough negative stuff throughout the media or whatever. Why do we have to have it in high school sports? So we had some girls that would come from basketball and were extremely vocal, and they learned really quick that it wasn't going to the way it was going to roll. So that's always a struggle. And then the second part, Kyoki, is
just what advice would you have to the native athlete that's coming up now? It doesn't necessarily have to be about those struggles, but what advice would you want to make sure that they heard from you?
Believe in yourself. I guess that's the one thing that I really push on my girls is to believe themselves, to be confident, and take pride. Be respectful, love the game, don't disrespect the game, and have love for the game. I mean, that's the number one thing. Talking about Sonny is like, you got to love the game. In order to succeed, you have to love the game. If you don't love the game, then it's a struggle. So just believe in yourself. I got an opportunity to, and I didn't get to watch her play. She didn't really get a long season. Was our last year center fielder. She went to College of Siskiyous. I was really looking forward to going to watch her play. Before that, we had an outfielder that went and played with Maggie, and just watching them grow, watching them believe that they can do it. Because in the beginning they were like, I don't want to go play college, and then at the end of the season, they were confident enough to sign with COS, or confident enough to go play with Maggie, and they did great at the next level. My daughter played with Maggie. And just being confident and believing in yourselves, and don't hang your head. Be proud of the community come, but when you go to a different location or whatever, always represent. Always keep your head up and represent. The valley. I always say, push our girls to represent the valley, represent their families. So I think that's about it there.
Thank you. I think those are really important things to remember. And so hopefully I know there are some Native youth athletes that are watching right now. So I think that's great advice for them. Coach Reed Elmore, same questions to you. If there's been any struggles at being a Native person as a athlete coming up or as a coach?
Yeah, just kind of what Glenn was saying, that I think confidence is huge. I started, like I said, I started as a soccer player, and I went down south, and I grew up like in Humboldt County, and soccer was different. It wasn't pay to play. It was people just loved you playing. Like even in basketball, you see some of that too. As you go out to the park and you see some of the same people you play basketball with, who've seen it for years. And I actually ended up going down to Santa Rosa, and it was a whole different culture than I was used to. and that confidence. I mean, I didn't fit in either side, you know, and so I, I, I didn't have the confidence to really let my plan come through. And so I went to running where they couldn't, there's no politics in running, like I said before. Either do it or you don't do it. And so that really helped me in my sport. But confidence was a huge struggle. You know, even in coaching, um, you know, that you go out there, you go to these meetings, and you're not Latino, you're not black, you're not white, and you're sitting there, and you're like the only one there. And most of the meetings in California, and if people don't know you're native, you're just kind of like, well, I don't really fit in this, and this is not how I do things. And being native isn't just a color; it is a culture. It's a different way of looking at things, and every native person, depending on where you're from, has their own kind of outlook on life. And part of coaching is being true to that and having that come through. Um, you know, and I think as an athlete, that's true too. So that's a real struggle, but it's also a positive. You know that you know, I didn't grow up in ceremony, but afterwards, kind of came into that a lot with the running and coming to some of the ceremonies around here. My mom's not a local tribe; she's from someplace else. She's from New York, and but learning about the local tribes and finding out who my mom was huge. And I did that through sports. Sonny Tripp, your family brought me in a lot to some of the ceremonies up there. I thank them a lot, and also seeing Glenn and Kyoki at meets or on campus saying hello is huge. Is part of that community. So my advice is that, you know, that confident, work on your confidence, and when you see other Native peoples and other athletes, like take stock that they're out there and they're going through the same thing and they got your back. Um, you know, part of what I've learned through the runs and stuff like and going to ceremonies like that is that whole positive outlook you have to have during ceremony is great during practice. We look at every practice as a ceremony, but this is the one time a day when you come and this is about you. I don't want to. I try not to have cuss words. They come out. Uh, no disparaging comments, and we try to be really positive and take that approach. You know, and it could be that. And I think Glenn was talking about this on that. These kids um, may have everything really negative in their life, and this is the one time, the 2 hours a day that they come and they can have something positive. And that's not just native athletes, that's all my athletes. And I think they really um, tie into that. But the native kids I do have the team, a lot of times I'll turn to them and because they understand it. Um, you know, I can say, hey, tell me about when I talk to about community, and a kid who grows up in the suburbs and all this kind of stuff may not understand community as much as a kid that grows up going to ceremony. And I'm like, okay, explain how this works, explain how that works. I don't call them out quite that harsh, but they kind of step up and they become leaders in that realm. And some of them aren't the best athletes, but still are absolutely a leader when it comes to creating team dynamics that's positive for everyone. So my advice is that, you know, have confidence that um, to overcome some of that and take stock in community and take stock in what you've learned, because those things really are important and really do help. And that would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Coach. Great advice. Next, we're going to go same question, Coach Tripp. Like, what struggles have you had to overcome as a native athlete? I know you grew up in Shasta County playing ball, so I'm sure there was some struggles over there being away. And also as a coach, just like what have you come through as being a native man who's a coach and an athlete?
Right on. Some of the struggles as a coach, I think there wasn't a lot of mentors for or a lot of doors opening when I was a young man for native coaches or for coaching. It's really, coaching is one of those professions where it's like a good old boy profession or whatever, you know, and you got to kind of know people to get in the right position. But I would say there wasn't enough Native coaches when I first started playing. There wasn't enough Native men in education, um, you know. So, but I found ways to work through that, through sports. If it wasn't for sports, I definitely wouldn't have been able to graduate from high school and go to college and get my, my BA and then a master's. Um, Sports allowed me to have a place at school because I also had a learning disability. So the classroom was kind of a struggle at times, but I found my escape on the courts and on the fields, and that's one of my goals, is to open up the door for other coaches, not specifically natives, but all coaches who love the game and want to, I try to open up a pathway for those guys to be involved. Um, my advice for a native athlete is uh, put the work in, put the work in an off season when people are resting or people are being lazy or playing Fortnite, like we're talking about, is to go out and work. For us, it's specifically put your dribble drills in, work for 30 minutes a day on those, get some cardio in, and that's where you can pass up people sometimes, in the off season when you grind. The other thing that I want to mention, which all you coaches have mentioned too, is like we try to provide that safe place to forget about everything, every day's life's troubles, the homework, your girlfriend problems, whatever that may be, to just forget everything and to enjoy life for 2 hours or whatever that might be. Just enjoy life and escape almost into a safe environment where you're loved by your community, your teammates, your coaches, and all that stuff. The other thing I want to let Native athletes know, and what I found out later in life, is I moved from Del Norte County to Shasta County over in Redding as a freshman, and I went from a small school to 2,000 freshmen in one school. So it was kind of an awakening, or when I had 30 kids graduating in my 8th grade class to 2,000 all in the same grade. All the 9th graders went to the same school over there in Redding. But what I found out was that when I made the teams and I succeeded and I ended up doing really well in football and basketball, and is that my dad told me that that there was all these other natives that follow native athletes, natives in the community that when they see natives on the school teams and stuff, they it feels good to them to see somebody be successful. And there wasn't very many of us in that school. There was only 3 Indian men that I know of, boys that played football with me, 2 others. So it was kind of cool in that way. And then I also want to acknowledge how it feels for our hoopball teams, which is the school that is the native school around here. All us natives on the coast and everybody around, wants hoopball to do well. We're excited when they do well. For me, hoopball is one of the funnest teams to play, but I don't like playing them because I don't like somebody has to lose, and if it comes to me or you, I'm gonna do my best to not to be me. So that's kind of my only team that I don't really like to beat, but if it comes down to it, I have to, do my best to do that. And I also know some of the struggles that, and nobody might want to mention it, but I'm not afraid to mention it, is that there's some racism that goes around in this country that we've been here for a while, and it plays out on some of the calls. As a bystander sitting by there, nobody wants to talk about that, but it's the reality. I've seen hoopball get reffed up a few times. I've seen or some coaches of colors get some bad calls. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but and other coaches get to behave differently. Like even myself, I got teed up for standing out of my box. And when there are these other coaches that get to run around and do whatever, I think us as colored coaches or men of color were held to a different expectations almost. So I think for me, I can deal with that stuff. For Indian kids, I just want them to work hard, work as hard as they can, be a sponge, trust your teammates, trust your coach, and put the work in. Anyway, that's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. I think that's all good advice, and no problem calling that out. I think anybody who's watching this has also either experienced it or witnessed that in some way. And I think that's what makes like some of those teams like so exciting to watch, is when they overcome those issues, those sometimes discrepancies in the game. And so that's kind of like, hopefully the next Hoop High basketball coach will pass it to him and see like how he can answer that of like what struggles. And he grew up in the Bay, but he's a native athlete growing up in the Bay, and now he's got his like foot in the door coaching as well. So what struggles have you had, and then what advice would you give to the native athletes coming up that are watching us right now, Chris?
Wow, that's a good question. For me, because I was in the Bay Area playing against this great competition, that was kind of my biggest motivator as an athlete. Play against the best, and work hard to try and get up to their level. When I was in the Bay Area, we were playing against people like Aaron Gordon, Damian Lillard, people who are in the NBA now. We had to play against them. And if we didn't play well, even when we did play well, we lost by 50. They were good players. We had to make sure we were able to compete and work our butts off in order to get to their level. And it kind of, I talked to some of my high school teammates about this all the time. We were terrible when we were younger. We were like 16 or something for one season, but we kept working. And now on that team, I think 3 of us ended up playing college ball. One of them ended up playing college baseball. One of them ended up doing college track. Because we kept working and because we played against this better competition, it made us better. If you're playing against the same people that you can beat over and over and over and over again, you're not going to get any better that way. And if you're not competing and not trying to get better, then you're going to be at this same level. And when you get to the high school games and get against these good players, you're not going to be able to compete. That's the thing I think as an athlete in general, as a native athlete, down in the Bay Area, I kind of had a weird kind of identity crisis of not knowing who I was because I was native and I was Black. So I was trying to figure out who I was while also being a basketball player, being an athlete, and being a student. I found that when I was on the court, I wasn't trying to figure out who I was just playing ball. That was my sanctuary, and you are able to use that as your sanctuary. It helps you. So I know that the kids out in Hoopa, I coached some kids who use that, whether it was a football field, the basketball court, that was their sanctuary. And if you use that, you're going to want to be there more often. You want to get better, and you're going to want to get to that next level, which is what I was able to do, which was what you guys are able to do. As a coach, I honestly am coming in completely, not completely blind, but I'm coming in kind of fresh. And so I'm very happy I have people like Sonny, like Kyoki, like Coach Moore to help me and my kids kind of learn along the way, because I have these expectations that I have as a coach within the Hoopa High system and within the Hoopa High School that I want to do. And I can see us doing really, really great things, but I won't be able to do them by myself. I know that I'm going to have to focus on other people and learn from you guys and learn from the kids that I'm coaching what to do. So that's my, I guess, short answer for that question. I'll send it back to you, Kyoki.
And just the advice that you give to the native athletes coming up, and I know there's some on watching right now. So what advice would you give them?
The advice, keep playing. You should be playing. Even I know it's hard at this COVID time. Just find time to play. Whether it's shooting at a basketball court, or whether it's kicking the ball down the street, or whether it's throwing the ball back and forth, or hitting, doing whatever you can. Focus on your craft and work on your craft as much as possible. That's how you're going to get better. That's going to make us happier as coaches, and that's going to make us have to work with you less because you're doing all the work on your own. That's the best advice I can give for my kids. I think that is the end of our talk. I know we went a little long. I apologize. Amara, is anything you want to say before we end it?
No, I think you guys pretty much nailed a lot of it. It's nice to hear from different perspectives and different age groups too, of coaching and being involved, and different areas that we're in, kind of in the differences that we faced as Native people. I think that's just really relevant in today's society. So thank you for sharing. But yeah, I think just keep watching the youth series, and thank you, youth, for tuning in today. And I'll go ahead and let's see if Chris has any more updates or anything to share.
Make sure you guys check us out. Tuesday, we'll be back for another of our youth engagement series on a new topic. And if you guys like this, I know it went a little long, but we are so happy to have these coaches back with us and maybe get some more in. So if you guys want us to do more of this stuff, please let us know. I know I'd like to have these guys on more and learn from them. So if you guys want to have them on more, please let us know so we can. Other than that, I know this talk went a little long and I apologize, but this was a great talk. I'm so happy to have these guys on, and that's all I have. I'm going to put it on a gallery mode really quick so you can see everybody on there. So everybody wave bye, and we're all done for today.